Hello, welcome to the Bad Mouth reading series. I'm poet Jessica Quayle, and I will be reading today from my book, Yours Creature. It's brand new and it came out this May from Jackleg Press. I'd like to say thank you to Rebecca Aronson for the invitation to read. I'm grateful to have a little chance to read from this book. It's a series of epistolary poems in the voice of Mary Shelley. Many of the poems are addressed to her mother, the feminist and activist Mary Wollstonecraft, who died 11 days after her birth from an infection. Dear mother, scratch beneath the surface of a man and there's no help. Pee disappears when babies die. There are so many tasks. Father hated me for being sad. I pursued ideas like a horse, a dog, always behind, raised by a dictum, but not a man. I was a tent stitch on the pocket of his mind, a grafted cut in his bark of book. I cried in the open, less girl than gnome, when the bell at the cow's neck rang 10, 10, 10, and I took my first affection from her wet black eye. Yours as ever and unmothered, Mary. P refers to Percy Shelley, and the father is William Godwin. Dear Rejection, 1815. In threes they came, the mother, the father, the holy lover. One by one they cut me loose. The first went underground without me. The second couldn't bear to touch me. I was monstrous, toddling from bed with open mouth, a devil girl with spindly neck. The third was a boy who touched my thigh to prove that I was nectar made, my girlhood gone. He fled whenever I felt too much. Who can love a second time? His face was the only male face. Absence always could subsume me, powered as it was by the first rejection, God's holy three of no, no, never. Yours, as I have always been, Mary Shelley. Dear mother, I had a dream that my little baby came to life again. What is it to make a life that dies like God? It cannot stand to stay. Cabbage leaves are soft like cloth and smell of tea. I wore them on my breast like medicine. The earthy taste of tea made me hate my flesh. I didn't know if I was made of anything else. Her 13 days were the only time, and they had no measure. Clouds swirled like bands of twisted cloth. I'm sorry to burden you. As a child, I was spooked by the empty hall when father moved us in. At first, he loved me like I was you, and in the dream, we rubbed it by the fire and it lived. Yours as ever, Mary. That poem had a line from one of her letters. In the summer of 1816, I think everyone knows this, Mary Shelley, with Percy Shelley and Byron and her stepsister, went to the mountains of Switzerland, where she wrote Frankenstein at age 18. That was also the summer of a volcanic eruption that altered the sky and the weather. Dear mother, I was aware of you, the year without a summer. The sunlight reddened. My hands, too, were weather backward. People looted the warehouses of grain. It rained red, but we remained corded, issued from the other. It rained 100 days. The river came to new marks. The world matched our minds, and I invented a doctor who cobbled together a man. I who copy you, Mary. Dear creature, the sea of ice was my favorite distraction. We kept a squirrel inside a box who bit me. P carried him for a while, the way he carried kindness, useless and external, like a man. At night when we read Christabel, P thought my nipples were eyes. He ran away, afraid. I suppose each hole of my body is an eye, especially my mouth, repulsed by the heat of its need. Your monstrous creator, M.S. Dear Mother, in the grass, the red self cardinal is nerves. We are in Albion, and I wish Claire away again. She left for 9 months and came back empty. At night it's hot, my son turns, I hear him dream. I hear the linens move with his hot little limbs. P does not attend. When women return with empty arms, does a line end? God's line. I stepped in God's tent when P first went inside me. We were at your grave. Do you know that after his death, I'd keep the muscle of his heart inside a drawer, the red self dust. I am without pity for her woman pain because I am your callous girl, Mary. Dear, I heard from G when my half-sister died. Go not to Swansea, disturb not the silent dead. If a girl is tired of herself, isn't it her right to leave this world? All this time G lived like I was dead. He broke months of silence to write. There is no crawling back to the beginning, no rewriting of the child. The ticks you get are yours to get. My sister was folded in, a passive missive I was bite. I remember her room in Swansea where I never went, and I remember the chambermaid who kept Fanny's wishes and left her alone except listen. She was left alone from start to finish. We shared one mother who could not be shared, the living daughter, Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley had a half-sister from Mary Wollstonecraft's first lover, who she did not marry. His name was Imlay, and he never acknowledged the child or Mary. Dear Mother, we rent a house in Italy. Black currants stain our fingerprints. We write in red, mother and child. My skin remembers P's glyptic touch, the sex we had beside your grave. When I was 15, his words were earnest like a slingshot. We gospelized you. I prepare fermented fish. The tiny blade lifts the bones like threads. P is a genius of wonder and invention. Not one domestic task takes his attention, and I in the kitchen am a genius of famine. Your loving daughter, Mary Shelley. Dear creature, because of what I did, society never let me in. Dim-witted towns don't see you, but I still remember the tactile coolness of earth beside my mother's grave, and P's dry hand first on my face, then pressed to the second heartbeat between my legs. I spent the rest of my life scrambling to get back alone with him. Because of what I did, because of this, no prayers went up. A wall attached to my growth, and tree knot child, curled black worm, glistening on the shore, foam child, wave father, he couldn't even swim. Your loving creator, M.S. Dear Mother, I sailed with P before he sailed. What do you make of birth? How do you sound out love? The brittle crushing and the shame. I will be the cliche I am, longing for a man and the stinging of the sea. After one tiny body, another tiny body. At 25, The wool tunnel of loss squeezed me dry. I wore pastel colors so I could dream. The last corpse had a whitewashed blanket face, a twist of gray, a luminous burning on the shore. But I knew, even when the men didn't, that the light they called supernatural was lime. My chest cabinet had a little fist inside, the left arm flapped with grief. In another life, it was a wing, and only P knew my full-blown name. What if it's true that I was a cold wife like they said? I didn't go to see him burn. Trelawney took a jawbone. Leigh Hunt broke off another piece of bone. Pieces of a man to men. What didn't burn was in his chest, a tug of tissue, a knot of grief, and still I had to beg for what was mine. Yours, always left, MS. Thank you so much for listening to this work. Again, these poems are from Yours Creature, from Jack Leg Press, and this is the Bad Mouth Reading Series.